Every 10 years, there's about 1,000 legitimate NBA draft prospects, with around 600 of them getting drafted. Around 300 of them actually end up getting legit NBA minutes. But when we talk about generational talents, only one or two of them come in the span of every 10 years. In 2019 and 2012, we saw Zion Williamson and Anthony Davis. In 2003, we saw LeBron James. In 1997 and 1992, we saw Tim Duncan and Shaq. And the list goes on and on. With each of those players comes an extreme amount of attention and hype. But this past year, we saw a different level of hype surrounding the number one pick in the 2023 NBA draft, Victor Wembanyama. Rightfully so, because he may very well buck every single one of these generational type talents. Long before his debut on the hardwood, he's already being mentioned in the same breath as legendary figures like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan, an awe-inspiring comparison that resonates deeply with fans and experts alike, considering the weight of the history behind those names. Wembanyama's potential is framed as not just promising, but generational, drawing parallels to the likes of LeBron James, whose arrival shook the basketball world. This time, the spotlight is on Victor Wembanyama, a young prospect who has taken the basketball world by storm, generating claims from seasoned experts and analysts that he might be the best and most talented prospect the sport has ever witnessed, perhaps even a transcendent figure across all sports, with some going as far as saying he's the best prospect in all of sports. But with his summer league performances and the amount of media attention put on him, some are starting to think that he's being overhyped and won't live up to expectations put on him. I can even admit that I think I was a little too high on him for producing early, but in this video, we'll discuss if Victor Wembanyama is actually worth the hype, or is he just another overrated unicorn type draft prospect? When looking at Victor's game, Victor's story isn't just about numbers he produces on the court. It's a saga of expectations that often exceed reality. The echo of his name resounds in the halls of basketball greatness, as he's touted as the best prospect the game has ever seen. But where does it even come from though? It all starts with his frame and the way he moves. At 7'5", Victor's agility, laterally and horizontally, to guard players anywhere on the floor, while also having instincts and coordination to play elite help side defense and make the right reads on defense. Not only does he have extreme defensive versatility, but Victor is a legitimate 3-level scorer who can shoot threes from deep off the catch or off the dribble, can pull up in the mid-range, shoot step backs, fadeaways, and all kinds of separation moves, and can take it to the rim and knows how to drive in space with a nice touch. On top of that, he has an extremely rare ability to handle the ball in tight spaces and break down defenders one-on-one and pass. Given all of this, Wembanyama is perceived as a legendary prospect. The amount of media attention and endorsement of NBA legends magnify the aura around him. Yet, as the proverbial saying goes, the proof is in the pudding, and stepping onto the NBA stage is a far cry from merely being acclaimed on paper. And until he proves his worth on an NBA court, the hype is essentially useless, and we won't know if he's really a bust or not. Oftentimes, we get caught up too much in the quote-unquote generational talents who made it, like LeBron, Kareem, and more. But we often forget about the guys who didn't make it, that were deemed as generational talents and were busts, like Michael Olowokandi and Joe Smith. And with the media often being afraid to talk about young prospects falling on that side of the category of being a bust, we often forget how easy it is and more likely it is to fall into that category. Like most NBA prospects, they often have to jump some hurdles. And despite Victor being so talented, his journey was no exception. A summer league showdown with Brandon Miller, the number 2 pick in the draft, laid bare with vulnerabilities and off-target shooting display, and an extremely underwhelming stat line that fell short of lofty expectations. Wembanyama put up a whopping 9 points on 2 of 13 shooting from the field, about 15%, and 1 of 7 from beyond the arc. He struggled immensely against younger NBA competition, and his lack of physicality showed. Granted, it is Summer League, and it's not the end-all be-all, but it does serve as a great reminder that no matter how great you think a prospect is, he still has his downsides. This served as a stark reminder that even the most heralded talents can falter. Such moments aren't just about numbers, they're about the resilience of character in the face of criticism and adversity. Going back in NBA history, a parallel could be drawn to young Kobe Bryant. Kobe struggled in his rookie year to put up great numbers, and had a playoff game marked by 4 airballed shots. Rather than giving up, Kobe's response was one of unwavering determination. This resilience, this eagerness to learn from failure and emerge stronger, is the hallmark that sets great apart from the rest. But the road to becoming an NBA legend is filled with challenges. The hard-hitting statistics remind us that the path to All-NBA recognition or MVP titles is a narrow one. The story of Tim Duncan, a shining example from a quarter century ago, shows that potential alone isn't enough. It takes unyielding effort, dedication, and perhaps a little bit of luck. But who's to say that Victor's actually going to be resilient enough or even have the ability to jump over these hurdles? When you look at generational talents, they all have similar traits. It starts with work ethic, and what makes Victor so special isn't just an exploration of data points, it's an intimate portrait of a player's character. His unwavering work ethic and passion for the game are impossible to overlook. When teammates speak of his relentless drive, describing it as unmatched, his prowess on the professional stage, evident in impressive point averages, rebounds, and blocks, is just the tip of the iceberg. His emotional investment in the sport, exemplified by tears shed after a final loss in France, speaks volumes about the depth of his commitment. His desire to play through the whole season in France this past year with Mets 92 and target big-time matchups against G League Ignite and Scoot Henderson shows he isn't scared of any competition, even getting closer to the draft. As the Mets were making a deeper run into the playoffs and the draft was just a few weeks away, Victor still kept on playing, while his fellow draftees hadn't played in 2 to 3 months. That alone is half the battle, but another huge part of this is durability. While Victor has shown he is durable thus far, playing all 70-plus games with the Mets, plus additional games with France and the Spurs Summer League without injury, consistency is key, and if he can be healthy for 10-plus years, when you look at guys that were considered as 7-foot unicorns in the past, like Kristaps Porzingis, Chet Holmgren, Yao Ming, Bol, Ralph Sampson, and Joel Embiid, historically, injury history has been a huge problem. Guys at that size that move in a plethora of different ways don't have the best injury history, whether it's foot, knee, or back problems. With Victor being a one-of-one prospect who arguably moves more dynamically than any of the guys I named, this could be a huge cause for concern for injuries to come into play. And with Victor reportedly not putting on too much weight right now and is only a few months away from NBA action against guys like Giannis, Joel Embiid, LeBron, and other physically imposing guys, this could be another cause for concern. But these are just odds against his favor. Let's just say Victor does have a dominant career from the jump, but only has 5 good years of playing like Yao Ming. Most would consider him a bust. So what would he need to do to meet expectations? Victor would have to stay healthy for a long period of time, and if he did so, he would be the first of his prototype to do that and stay healthy while producing. But still, the burning question remains, can Victor Wembanyama live up to the hype placed on him, and is he overrated? When you consider the near unrealistic titles and expectations placed on Wembanyama, is it possible to live up to the hype? From guys like Woj, Draft Express, and Richard Jefferson deeming him as the greatest NBA draft prospect ever, to Woj doubling down and calling him the greatest prospect in team sports, to Chris Broussard saying that if Victor Wembanyama isn't better than Kevin Durant, Hakeem Olajuwon, or Anthony Davis, he's a bust. These are near unrealistic expectations, and what most NBA fans expect out of Victor is to come into the NBA, average 30 a game, and end his career with a bunch of championships and MVPs. But that's not how it's gonna go. Victor's gonna have to adjust to the NBA game. He's gonna have a lot of bad games in his rookie year, and a lot of growing pains throughout his early years of his NBA career. And I'm not saying that to downplay his talent, because I really feel he's a special prospect, and I'm looking forward to seeing him in the NBA. But just because he's the most talented prospect ever, doesn't mean it'll directly translate to wins. Especially in Victor's case, being that he's a 7'5" unicorn that doesn't have the strongest frame and most blazing speed, it'll be hard for him to make an immediate impact on winning like LeBron did. But at the same time, he really could, because just this past year in France, he showed that he has the ability to impact winning on an older team immediately. Part of what made LeBron so special as a prospect, though, was how his talent translated over to wins. In hindsight, it's easy to say LeBron was the greatest prospect ever, when simply that's just not true. There are many young players in today's day and age just as talented, if not more talented than LeBron James as a high schooler. But what made him so special was his ability to impact winning due to his size, athleticism, intangibles, and overall skill set. With Victor, I see a prospect who's more talented, but needs more time to adjust to the game, and won't make that immediate impact that LeBron did. What's really going to set Victor apart, though, is his ability to channel critique into motivation, his tireless work ethic, and his unwavering love for the game, which is what's going to build the foundation on which his potential for greatness is built. In the dynamic realm of basketball, stars rise anew, and past legends are reevaluated. The chronicles of Victor Wembanyama are those that enthusiasts of the sport will follow with bated breath. It's a narrative of potential meeting pressure of raw talent intersecting with adversity. With each unfolding chapter, we become witnesses to whether Victor can rise above the clamor, surmount obstacles, and forge a unique path to greatness. The Odyssey is only in its beginning stages, and while the outcome remains shrouded in uncertainty, the journey itself is captivating, brimming with promise and potential. But After all, they do call Victor Wembanyama an alien for a reason, and he may just be built for this. As basketball continues to evolve, so too will the story of Victor Wembanyama, a tale that captures the essence of what it means to chase greatness in the realm of sports.